Hey guys, welcome back to RC Cars UK. Paddy with you here again. Hope you're all doing well this evening. Now today's video, we're just going to take a quick tutorial with the KineMaster video editing app. Now we're just going to take one or two clips, cut them down, cut the layers down. We're going to cover audio layering, we're going to cover layering effects, we're going to cover audio editing, we're going to cover video editing, so crops, effects, fades, transitions, text input boxes and stuff like that. We're going to do this obviously on the KineMaster app. Now this is a modified APK that I use, so it's not your regular KineMaster Pro. It is a slightly different package, but the base package is what you will be using on your phone too. So basically what we're going to go and do here first of all is we're going to go and see what our phone is capable of. Now we can see here that is a 4K edit and share, so import and export, direct import and export of 4K. And here's our video layers in the thing. We can have 3 layers of 2160p, 6 of 1080p, 6 of 720p. What you want to do is go down to advanced and experimental settings and make sure your allow export rate frame rate of up to 60 fps, allow import frame rate of up to 240 fps is turned on. You don't need your unlimited video layer mode for this tutorial today, so just go and turn those two settings on and you'll be all good and you can start your journey. So what we're going to do today, like I said, we're going to take 5 clips, edit them up. Let's get going. Thanks very much, guys. And we're using footage that was filmed a couple of days ago now. You've probably seen the video on YouTube already. It's this one here. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and start a fresh program. We're going to start it in landscape. We're going to go into camera. And let's go and access our video file. So let's just say we want to concentrate today on a couple of slow motion clips and some things you can do to edit them to make them seem a bit more cooler and stuff like that to watch, aesthetically pleasing, if you want to put it that way. Now you'll notice straight away this was filmed in 1080p, I believe. Let's just get the information up on here. Let's see, yeah, 1920 times 1080, so 2K times 1080p, 30 frames a second. That's actually a slow motion clip, that. So I'm surprised it's filmed at 30 frames per second, but I know if you do super slow motion, I think it's 120 now, maybe 240, but they've obviously started cutting the frame rates down on the newer cameras. So let's have a look. Go all the way back. So obviously, like we do, we identify where we want to trim from. So here's an action scene coming up. So you want to split, trim and split. And you'll find trim and split in the, where will you find trim and split? So tap on your the line of video that you've got. So this line here, we've just got one layer. So we click on our layer of video or MP4 that we've got up here. We can get rid of that. It'll bring up options on your right hand side here on KineMaster. So that's anything from your clip graphics to your reversing your footage. We'll cover this in a minute and all this stuff, but all your options will pop up on your right hand side here. You can choose your layout of what you want, but I find the list function like this is quite a good layout. So anyway, so you split. So you go on your scissor function. You've already split, yeah? So we've done that there. So we can get rid of this. Click delete here, get rid of that. Back to the start. So we get the start of our clip that we want now. I have not filmed any intros for this, so there's no intro footage, there's no pans, there's no swoops, tilts, anything like that. There's just basically, we're just starting off with this raw footage here, yeah? So let's turn the sound up so you can hear it too. Sounds quite good actually. It's captured on an omnidirectional mic, so it's quite good. But we don't want it overpowering, say, our audio track, do we? So we're going to click on our footage. We've separated what we want roughly. We're going to trim this again later, but we're just getting our rough clips organised as we usually do. You're going to take that down to about 50% on your audio. And that'll do for now. Right, so we're identifying other areas of interest within this one clip that we filmed, this 12-minute long clip. Obviously, you can't have 12 minutes long of one video. So we're identifying areas within that clip. There you go, see, bit of action. So once again, we click on our first layer, which is our MP4, go to trim, split at playhead. If I just show you, if I just reverse that, so if you're ever wondering, up here next to where my finger is now, where the cursor is, that's your undo there. So if you do make a mistake, you can always undo it. Right, let's go on to our splitting our thingy. If we do trim to the right, it'll take that out. So anything to the right of this, what we call the playhead here, this red line here, yeah. So anything to the right of this this red line here will be taken out. So equally, if I go trim to the left of the playhead, you get the idea. So we can just take that back out. So let's go and find our clip again. Now we've zoomed past it again. Here we go. So we want to trim about here. Like I said, at first you're just gathering your rough clips up. So you're going through. That'll do. That's probably way too long anyway. I use something very similar to that. But we're just going to gather a bunch of clips out of this one thing and we'll just show you some editing tips and tricks. Did I hit the ramp that time? I don't know what I hit. Yeah, let's just use that. That'll do. Let's play again. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. There we go. So we're basically left out of our 12-minute clip. After a quick scour, we are left with 35 seconds of footage. Now, even this will have to be chopped down quite a bit. Nobody wants to watch the long intro of this truck backing up because the action only happens around here. So 3.8 seconds into this clip is when the action happens. So basically, if you're watching, the viewers can get quite tired of watching scenes waiting to be to get going, if you will. So you can afford to trim out at least a second or so off here. And then I would trim here. Get rid of this. And that's basically what you're left with. You're doing your fine trims now. So you've got your main bulk of your clips that you want. And much again here, the action only starts a couple of seconds in. So we can afford to lose some of this. Don't lose too much of it. Let me show you what happens if you lose too much of it. If you start it here where the action starts, if you're going to add a transition in, something like, I don't know, let's say a sketch fade, yeah? You're only going to do it a second long. But what it'll do is it will rob some of each side of these clips of a little bit of footage while it's making this transition. Let me show you. And what can happen is you can end up missing. So always leave a little bit of leeway. So even if you don't want it to start at this point, the viewer won't see it start at this point because of how the transition takes effect. See what I mean? So always be aware of the overlap that transitions will start to rob footage. Much like here, I've cut this quite fine here. But there's at least a second or so actually before it hits the ramp. So I don't want to overcut it, but I don't want to undercut it as well. Much like here, you got to be wary all the time. I mean, this is a, what we're going from 6 seconds to 17 seconds. So it's just over 10 seconds long, that clip, which can get quite tedious for the viewer to watch. So that's a nice short one. So if you're going to edit this up different to how I did it yesterday, you could actually start it here, right? So we've shortened that down a bit at the intro. So we're starting at the action. Right, so we want to go to about here, not much. Split it, so you split your clip. Go on your speed setting here. Now don't drag it down too much, only a couple of notches. Maybe something like here. You can also choose here to mute your audio if you don't want the sound of the, because obviously when the footage is slowed down, the sound, the audio is also slowed with it. So if you want to keep the pitch, you can do. If you want to keep the pitch or keep your audio or mute your audio, you can do. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to duplicate this clip. So up here, you'll see there's 3 lines here. Click on that layer, duplicate. So we've got an exact replica right next to it now. So we can click on this again. Click duplicate again. So now we've got 3 of them. Now what we want to do is change the speed of this second one to 1. Plus 2 or 3, right? And then you want to click on here and go on reverse. This will reverse your footage. And now if all works well, you should see and you can even choose to, for instance, if you wanted to zoom in here, click on, you see where I click there on the pan and zoom section here in the middle, start position. So you get 2 fingers on the screen and you can basically drag it to zoom, pinch to zoom like you would do. If you want the end to be the same, you can, or you can keep it. So say for instance, actually we wanted to undo that and we wanted to keep this as the full view. End position is where it'll end up, so you could actually follow it down like this, for instance. You see how we've zoomed in there by pinching, and then click OK, and you'll see the effect of that take place now. You saw we got a slight follow effect there, as if there was more motion to the shot than actually there was. The camera was actually mainly static. There was a slight tilt to catch shot, but there wasn't a lot. Whereas here you can see that there's a more of a flow to it because we're actually zooming in as the footage rolls along. Which gives quite a nice effect. Right, so now we've got the basis of some cool motion in those clips here. We can focus on just this last clip here. Let's first of all, it's a little off center this. If you notice here, what I haven't done is centered the shot very well, have I? Because here you'll notice in the top portion of the clip that the main action is going on, where it should be really down in the middle, but it isn't. So what we can do is crop by panning and zooming. So we want to start about here, don't we? See, the more you zoom in, you'll notice the worse the quality gets. So, you know, there is limitations to it because it was filmed in slow motion. It's only filmed in 1080p. Now, if this was 4K, you could zoom much better with much more clarity for a lot more depth in there, but obviously with it being 1080p, unfortunately you can't. So a quick easy tip here as well: if you've done your first one, so you notice the red box here is what we've done, you can click your little symbol here and the end will be the same, so you don't need to try and match it up. So there'll be no movement in this clip, as in there'll be no zooms or draws at all, but there will I've cropped it basically. I've used the function to crop because obviously we weren't focused properly, were we, at the sorry, I'm just having a few issues. The screen record button is right above where this button is to press OK, which is really irritating. There you go, I've got it. So let's see. So that was still, you could trim some off there. What could we do to add in here? Something different. So if you wanted to do a manual effect, so something like a mirroring effect, you can actually run stuff so it looks like it's happening from a different angle. You see that? So switch it back, and we're going this way. Switch it that way, and we're going this way, and it looks completely legitimately like you filmed it from the other side. which is pretty cool. Obviously you can do it upside down as well if that's the way inclined you are, or use this to, if you've accidentally filmed in portrait, you can switch around and make sure that it's in landscape. Right, so as we progress here, we've got our total of 4 clips in here now, as we were saying before. I may have missed out a little bit because my screen record function is very annoyingly at the top of my function button. But anyway, so we've got our 5 clips in here now. We've got our outro. We've just done some clip graphics. So on your wheel here, you'll notice you click on here on your first layer. We call this a layer because this is, you can obviously layer up multiple, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. So first layer here, you click on, you go on your clip graphics. We've decided on a cinematic intro and outro from the list here. We've gone for a classy black and white one, and we've put some green text on there because this has got a text input box, if you notice here. So we've chosen we've chosen our fonts. Let's just choose a different one so you can see. Let's do that. Alright, so we're carrying on, so we're going to choose our font now. So we put our font on here, blah blah blah, whichever one you choose, whichever one's your poison, put that on there. So obviously I'll just put the message "thanks for watching" on here. You can actually change the length of where these graphic inlays will start, but they do often have quite a knee-jerk reaction when they start, and the integration for the fading isn't so great. So what we've done is we've dragged it all the way up to here at the start, so it's at the start now, and we've put a simple fade transition in between every one of these clips. So for instance, we've gone through and we've chosen a simple one, classic transitions, and we've chosen one of these here, which is the zoom out function. So we've done our clip arranging, we've done our fine trimming, we've even added clip graphics for our outro. We've got a reverse section in here, and this is 2 even more slowed down slow-mo clips that have had some speed work done to the editing there. And this one we've had a zoom in, remember, so the zoom that we did, so we've cropped to follow that car. This one we've also cropped because it wasn't centered very well, and we've made a monochrome color filter over the top of it. This is also in a monochrome filter. I mean, if you didn't want a monochrome filter, you could go back onto your clip graphics and have a fade out that's slightly different. So for instance, if you wanted a more subtle one, or one that kept the original color, that's pretty awful. There you go, that'll do. So basically we've got our 5 clips arranged here. We've dragged our sound down, so we've gone on each one and we've made sure our sound levels, like we discussed at the start of the video, are around 40% each. You'll notice on here I've already done that, they're all at 40%, and that's so the actual audio clip of this MP4 layer isn't too high. So we'll want to be adding some audio in, won't we, really? So I've just downloaded a song, DJ Hazard B, and that's a drum and bass song, so it'll go with this quite nicely. So let's get off here, drag that back. Not bad. I can instantly tell that the audio layer on there is a little too high in volume. So audio mastering wise, if you're going to do your master volume here, so let's just try that again. Obviously you can hear that's a much lower volume now. You can turn that up. So say if you wanted to keep that about 70, if you wanted to do, you can do what's called a volume envelope. So here you'll notice this is your master volume here, right? So it creates a point on your audio timeline. So if you wanted to start it off at 6, but you said actually by the start of this clip I want it to be full volume, you can see that it rises. Do you see that little graph there? So let's try that out. can also get around that easily by going on here and doing your audio fade in and audio fade out here, you see. So if you turn them on if you want them on, and set your time for the fade in and fade out. So we could soften it even more by doing a very short fade in. We could even do a fade in out at the end. Right, so now we've done our audio mix. Very cool. What we might want to do here is do something a bit funky and different to obviously introduce the video. So for instance, if you wanted to introduce your channel and put your channel name on there, for instance RC Cars UK or something like that, you could obviously do that using a title, not just title text, but obviously graphic overlays that have text input boxes as well. Let's choose a more one that's quite befitting with the outro one. That was almost like this sort of style, wasn't it? Let's just say edit tutorial. Let's put this on as a, oops, a daisy, my bad. Let's put it on something like that, that'll do. Text colour, let's do that green so it stands out. Maybe a blue. Let's go for a blue. Why not? So let's give this a play. Yep, that seems quite well integrated. If you wanted to find a, for instance, where are we going? So here, like I said, if you wanted to layer an effect, for example, basic effects, let's find a random effect that we can show you. There's a lot to choose from actually on KineMaster. So if you wanted to do for something like a, I wonder if they have mirror in here, mirror warp. They have a mirror warp. Let's go for a mirror warp, why not, whatever. Installed. So you'll find that there's this here. You can choose your mirror warp. Obviously it's not actually that great on this side. What you want really is it side to side and not up and down. But it's just showing you basically what you can do with these graphic effects, if you will. Make sure it's not overlapping into any other clips to the side of it. And how are we going to get this to come in? Fade in and fade out. See that little jerk that happened there? That won't happen after it's exported. Sometimes these editors, especially on Android phones, they do struggle with the larger files and the high resolution files especially. Let's do one last thing so I can just show you. If you wanted to do media and put I don't know, let's just say you wanted to put a picture on here. Where's my camera going? How can I see you? There we go. Let's just say you wanted to put a picture of the truck. There we go. What you can do is you can have this fade in at the end. I think that's probably about all that we're going to, let me just drag in forward a bit, isn't it? I think that's all we're going to pretty much get out of that clip. So what we're going to do now is we're going to export said clip. We're going to choose our resolution here at the side. So we're going to go for 4K. And we're going to go 60 frames a second. And our bitrate is way up, so it's 190 megabytes per second bitrate, and even that short clip is half a gig. So you can see down here is where I'm going to export now. Now this does have a 12 gig processor, so this does do the job fairly quickly, to be honest with you, this Samsung phones. But you know, my old Huawei didn't struggle that much, but it couldn't handle longer videos very well. But as you can see there was just a short example of how to take a couple of clips, edit them together in a bit of a funky way, and create a bit of an engaging watch for the viewer. Basically, you've got an audio track on there, we've done layering, we've done effects, we've done text overlays, image overlays, so cutting and chopping and splicing. So I hope that's giving you a little example of what you can do with a couple of clips and just 5 minutes of your time with a simple free editor program.